I, 28F, just found out why my entire professional network turned against me 2 years ago. My younger sister, 25F, has been begging for forgiveness, saying she made a mistake, but what she actually admitted to is so much worse than that. Our whole family thinks I'm being too harsh and need to move on. But after what she confessed, I don't think I can ever look at her the same way again. I found out my sister had been spreading lies about me for 2 years, and when I finally confronted her, she smiled and said she did it because watching me fail made her feel better about herself. I'm 28 years old, and until 2 years ago, I thought I had it all figured out. I'd worked my ass off to build a career in marketing. Started as an intern at a small agency right out of college, worked 16-hour days, took every project no one else wanted, learned everything I could. By the time I was 26, I was a senior account manager at one of the most prestigious agencies in the city, pulling in 6 figures, managing a team of 5, with clients who specifically requested me by name. I was good at my job, really good. I had that rare combination of creativity and business sense that made clients trust me with their brands. I'd won awards. I'd been featured in industry publications. I was on track to make director by 30. My little sister, Sophie, was different. Sophie had always been the artistic one, the free spirit, the one who colored outside the lines while I stayed firmly within them. She'd gone to art school, dropped out after 2 years, tried being a photographer, then a graphic designer, then a social media consultant. Nothing stuck. She'd bounce from job to job, project to project, always talking about her big break that was just around the corner. Our parents loved her spontaneity. Sophie's finding herself, Mom would say. Not everyone's path is linear like yours, honey. I didn't judge her for it. Really, I didn't. We were different people with different strengths. I was proud of my career. She was still figuring hers out. That was fine. We were close, or so I thought. We texted daily. Had sister dinners every other week. She'd come to my apartment and vent about whatever wasn't working in her life, and I'd listen, offer advice when asked, just be there for her. I loved her. She was my little sister. My only sibling. I had no idea she hated me. 2 years ago, my life imploded in the span of 3 weeks. It started small. A client I'd worked with for over a year suddenly requested a new account manager. When I asked why, my boss said they'd heard some concerning things about my professionalism but wouldn't elaborate. Then another client left. Then another. My boss called me into her office. We need to talk about some allegations that have been brought to our attention. Allegations. Multiple people have reported that you've been speaking disparagingly about clients in public. That you've shared confidential information about their campaigns. That you've been unstable. Erratic. My stomach dropped. That's not true. None of that is true. We have screenshots of social media posts. We have witness statements from people who claim to have heard you at industry events. What posts? What events? I don't. I would never. But she was already showing me her phone. Screenshots of Facebook posts from an account with my name and photo. Posts talking about idiot clients who don't know the first thing about marketing. Posts revealing specific details about campaign strategies. Posts that made me sound unprofessional, bitter, and reckless. This isn't my account, I said, my voice shaking. This is fake. Someone created a fake profile. These posts are from your main account. The one linked to your work email. That's impossible. I never. Let me see my phone. I pulled up Facebook. Logged in. Went to my profile. The posts were there. On my real account. Posted over the past 6 months. Posts I had never written. Posts I had never seen. I didn't write these, I whispered. Someone hacked my account. Someone is framing me. Then there are the emails, my boss continued, pulling out printed pages. These were forwarded to us by several of your clients. Emails from your work address, sent late at night, containing inappropriate comments about other team members and clients. I read them. They were written in a style similar to mine, but just slightly off. Close enough to be believable. Close enough to destroy me. I need you to take a leave of absence while we investigate, my boss said. Effective immediately. I left the office in a daze. The investigation took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of me providing evidence that my accounts had been compromised, showing logs of logins from IP addresses that weren't mine, proving I was nowhere near the locations where some of the witness statements claimed I'd made disparaging comments. But the damage was done. Word had spread through the industry. I was the account manager who'd had a breakdown, who'd gone rogue, who'd betrayed client confidentiality. People I'd known for years stopped returning my calls. Networking contacts blocked me on LinkedIn. The agency let me go. "We can't have this kind of liability on our team," they said. "Even if you were hacked, the reputation damage is too severe." I couldn't get another job. Every interview ended the same way. They'd look me up online, find the Whisper network talking about my incident, and suddenly the position would be filled or they'd decided to go in a different direction. I burned through my savings, had to move to a cheaper apartment, started freelancing for peanuts just to pay rent, watched my entire career, everything I'd built over 6 years, crumble to dust. And through it all, Sophie was there. Supportive, comforting, bringing me wine and takeout, letting me cry on her shoulder, telling me it would get better. "People are terrible," she'd say. "Someone clearly had it out for you. But you'll rebuild. You're too talented not to." I believed her. She was my sister. Why wouldn't I? 2 years passed. 2 years of rebuilding from nothing. I couldn't use my old agency name or references. I had to start completely over, rebranding myself as a social media strategist for small businesses, taking on clients who'd never heard of my scandal. It was humiliating. I'd gone from managing million-dollar campaigns to helping local bakeries figure out Instagram. But I was surviving, slowly clawing my way back. Sophie, meanwhile, had finally found her footing. She'd landed a job at a mid-sized marketing agency, not as prestigious as where I'd worked, but solid. She'd been promoted twice in 2 years, was making good money, had finally moved out of our parents' house and into her own place. "I learned so much from watching your career," she told me at one of our sister dinners. "You inspired me to take marketing seriously." I was happy for her. Genuinely. At least one of us was succeeding. Then 3 weeks ago, I got a message on LinkedIn from someone named James Chen. "You don't know me, but I used to work at Morrison and Clark Agency. I was an IT contractor there 2 years ago when you were let go. I need to talk to you about something important. Can we meet?" My first instinct was to ignore it. Anything connected to Morrison and Clark was a wound I didn't want to reopen. But something about the message felt urgent. Serious. I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop. James was in his early 30s, nervous, kept fidgeting with his coffee cup. "I probably should have come forward 2 years ago," he started. "But I was a contractor. I needed the work. I convinced myself it wasn't my business." "What are you talking about?" "The hack. Your accounts. It wasn't a hack." My blood went cold. "What?" "I was doing routine IT maintenance, and I found something weird in the logs. Someone had been logging into your accounts from inside the agency. Regularly. For months. They knew your passwords. They were posting as you, sending emails as you, creating a paper trail that looked like you were having a professional breakdown." "Who?" I whispered, though part of me already knew. "A woman named Sophie Walker. She listed you as an emergency contact when she applied for an internship. Said you were her sister." The coffee shop went silent. Or maybe that was just in my head. Maybe the whole world had gone silent except for the rushing sound of my blood pounding in my ears. "Sophie was never an intern at Morrison and Clark," I said slowly. "She was. For 3 months, right before your accounts were compromised. She was in the office. Had access to the systems. I pulled the logs. I kept copies because something felt wrong. Every single fake post, every fake email, was created from her login credentials or from locations that matched her phone's GPS data." He slid a USB drive across the table. "It's all here. Logs, IP addresses, timestamps, everything. I should have reported it back then. I'm sorry. But I'm reporting it now. You deserve to know the truth." I stared at the USB drive like it was a live grenade. Why would she do this? I whispered. "I don't know," James said quietly. "But she did. And she destroyed your career on purpose." I sat in my car for 2 hours after that meeting, staring at nothing.
Sophie.
My little sister. The one who'd brought me wine and comfort. The one who'd listened to me cry. The one who'd told me it would get better. She'd been the one who ruined me. I went home, plugged in the USB drive. Spent 6 hours going through every file, every log, every piece of evidence. It was all there. Irrefutable. Sophie had logged into my accounts 247 times over 6 months. Had crafted each fake post carefully. Had sent emails to my clients from my work address. Had created witness statements by talking to people at industry events claiming to be a colleague who'd witnessed my behavior. She'd planned it. Methodically. Deliberately. For months.
But why?
I called her. We need to talk. Tonight. My place. Is everything okay? She sounded concerned.
Caring.
The perfect sister. Just come over. Please. She arrived an hour later with Thai food and a bottle of wine. You sounded weird on the phone. What's going on? I didn't answer. Just pulled up the files on my laptop and turned the screen toward her. I watched her face as she read. Watched the exact moment she understood what she was looking at. Watched the concern slide off her face like a mask. Where did you get this? She asked quietly. Does it matter? She stared at the screen for a long moment. Then she closed the laptop and looked at me. Okay, she said. Just that. Okay. Okay. I repeated. That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? I want you to tell me why. My voice cracked. I want you to explain why you spent 6 months destroying my career. Why you hacked my accounts and spread lies and ruined my reputation. Why you made me lose everything. Sophie was quiet. Then she smiled. Actually smiled. Because I needed to, she said simply. You needed to. Yes. She stood up, walked to my window, looked out at the city lights. Do you have any idea what it's like being your sister? What are you talking about? Perfect Sarah. Successful Sarah. Sarah who does everything right. Sarah who wins awards and makes 6 figures and gets written up in magazines. Sarah who mom and dad are so proud of. Sarah who everyone compares me to. I never. You never had to, Sophie interrupted, turning to face me. You just existed. And that was enough to make me feel like nothing. I stared at her, unable to process what I was hearing. Every family gathering, it was Sarah got another promotion, or Sarah's client just won an industry award, or Sarah bought a new apartment. And what was I? Sophie, who can't hold down a job. Sophie, who's still figuring things out. Sophie, who's so creative, but just needs to apply herself. So you decided to ruin my life? I decided to level the playing field, Sophie said. I applied for that internship specifically to get access to your accounts. I spent 3 months learning your writing style, your patterns, your habits. I crafted each post to sound just enough like you that people would believe it. And then I sat back and watched your perfect life fall apart. You watched me cry. I whispered. You brought me wine. You comforted me, while knowing you'd done it. That was the best part, Sophie said, and her smile widened. Getting to be the good sister. The supportive one. The one who was there for you. Do you know how good that felt? To finally be the one who had it together while you fell apart. I couldn't breathe. You're a monster. I'm your sister, she said. And for 2 years, I've been the successful one. I've been the one with the career and the apartment and the life that's working. I've been the one mom and dad brag about. And it felt amazing. You destroyed my reputation, my career, my entire life. And I'd do it again, Sophie said calmly, because watching you fail made me feel better about myself than anything else ever has. For the first time in my life, I wasn't standing in your shadow. I was standing in the light, and you were the one in the darkness. And I loved it. She picked up her purse. I assume you're going to do something with those files. Turn me in or whatever. That's fine. I'll deal with the consequences. But I want you to know, I'm not sorry. Not even a little bit. You have no idea how suffocating it was being the lesser sister. I just wanted one chance to breathe. She walked to the door.
Paused.
Looked back at me. Thanks for the 2 years, Sarah. They were the best of my life. Then she left. I sat on my couch for hours, staring at nothing, trying to make sense of what had just happened. My sister, my baby sister, the one I'd protected and supported and loved, had destroyed my life because she was jealous. Because my success made her feel small. Because she needed to watch me fail to feel good about herself. And she'd smiled when she admitted it. I called my parents, told them everything, sent them the files. "This can't be right," Mom said. "Sophie wouldn't. This has to be a misunderstanding." She confessed, Mom, to my face. She told me she did it on purpose and she'd do it again. Silence on the other end of the line. "Maybe she was just upset," Dad finally said. "Maybe she didn't mean what she said. She meant every word." "Well, what do you want us to do?" Mom asked, her voice taking on that edge of defensiveness I knew too well. "She's your sister. You have to forgive her eventually." "No," I said. "I really don't. You're going to throw away your relationship with your only sister over something that happened 2 years ago?" She threw away our relationship when she decided her feelings were more important than my life. "I'm just accepting what she already did." "You're being vindictive," Mom said. I hung up. I took the files to a lawyer. He looked through everything and whistled low. "This is identity theft, fraud, possibly criminal harassment depending on how we frame it. You could file charges. You could sue for damages, lost wages, emotional distress, the works." "What would you do?" I asked. He leaned back in his chair. "Honestly, I'd burn it all down." "She didn't just make a mistake. She executed a months-long plan to destroy your career and reputation. That's not sibling rivalry. That's malicious." I filed a police report, filed a civil suit, reached out to Morrison and Clark with the evidence and a demand letter. The fallout was immediate. Sophie was fired from her job. Turns out employers don't like hiring people who've committed fraud and identity theft. The police opened an investigation. Morrison and Clark settled with me out of court for an undisclosed sum, enough to cover 2 years of lost wages and then some. My former boss called me personally. "We owe you an apology. We should have investigated more thoroughly. We're prepared to offer you your position back if you're interested." I wasn't. That bridge was burned. But I did ask for one thing, a letter of recommendation stating that the allegations against me were false and that I'd been the victim of identity theft. She wrote it immediately. With that letter and the settlement money, I started rebuilding for real. Reached out to old clients, explained what had happened, showed them the evidence. Most of them were horrified. 3 of them hired me on the spot as an independent consultant. Within 6 months, I had more work than I could handle. Within a year, I'd started my own agency. Small boutique, just me and 2 employees, but it was mine. Built on my terms. With clients who trusted me because I'd been transparent about what had happened. My career came back. Better than before, actually, because I was no longer building someone else's dream. I was building my own. Sophie, on the other hand, spiraled. She couldn't get another job in marketing. Her name was attached to fraud charges. The industry is small. Word spread fast. She moved back in with our parents. Started working retail. Her Instagram, once full of carefully curated, successful career woman content, went silent. Mom called me every few weeks. "Your sister is struggling. She needs her family right now. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive her?" "Did she apologize?" "She's having a hard time."
"Did she
apologize?" Silence. "She's your sister," Mom would say, voice pleading. "She was my sister," I'd correct. Before she decided to destroy my life for fun. Dad tried a different approach. "She's clearly dealing with mental health issues. Depression, jealousy. These are serious problems. She needs help, not punishment. Then get her help. Therapy. Medication. Whatever she needs. But I'm not part of that equation anymore. You're being cruel." "I'm being protective," I said. "Of myself. Of my career. Of the life I rebuilt after she tore the first one down."
She told me she'd do it again, Dad.
She looked me in the eye and said watching me fail was the best thing that ever happened to her. Why would I let someone like that back into my life? He didn't have an answer. The family fractured. My parents invited both of us to Thanksgiving. I said I'd come only if Sophie wasn't there. Sophie said the same thing. We can't choose between our daughters, Mom said. Then don't, I replied. But understand that I'm choosing myself. And if that means missing holidays, so be it. I spent Thanksgiving with Rachel, a friend from my new agency. Her family welcomed me with open arms, asked about my work, never once made me feel like the villain for protecting myself. Christmas was the same. My parents sent guilt trip texts. I didn't respond. Sophie tried reaching out directly a few times. Texts that said, "We need to talk," and "I miss you, but never I'm sorry." I blocked her number. The final piece came from an unexpected source. One of Sophie's old college roommates reached out to me through LinkedIn. "I don't know if this matters," she wrote, "but I thought you should know. Sophie used to talk about you all the time in college." She had this folder on her laptop labeled Sarah's Life, where she saved every article about you, every social media post, every award announcement. She'd look at it when she was drunk and talk about how unfair it was that you got everything. How she deserved success more than you because she was more creative and more interesting. I thought it was just normal sibling jealousy. But after I heard what she did to you, I realized she'd been obsessed for years. Planning it, maybe, even back then. I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner. I read the message 3 times. Sophie hadn't snapped, hadn't made an impulsive mistake. She'd been building toward this for years. Collecting information, nurturing her resentment, waiting for her moment. I'd never stood a chance. It's been 18 months since the confrontation. My agency is thriving. I have 12 employees now, a beautiful office downtown, clients across 3 states. I've been interviewed for industry podcasts about rebuilding after reputation damage and the importance of digital security. I've turned my nightmare into a teaching moment for others. Sophie is still living with our parents. Still working retail. Still, as far as I know, not in therapy or dealing with the root causes of what she did. My parents have stopped calling as frequently. They've accepted, I think, that I'm not coming back into Sophie's orbit. That our family will never be what it was. I don't miss them as much as I thought I would. What I miss is the sister I thought I had. The one who brought wine and comfort. The one I trusted. But I'm learning to accept that she never existed. She was a mask Sophie wore when it benefited her. The real Sophie, the one who smiled when she admitted to destroying my life, is the one I never truly knew. Last week I got a letter. Handwritten. From Sophie. "Sarah, I know you probably won't read this. But I need to say it anyway. I've been in therapy for 6 months. My therapist says I have some kind of personality disorder, something about narcissism and inability to handle others' success. I'm working on it. Supposedly. She asked me to write you a letter. To apologize. To take accountability. But here's the thing. I'm still not sorry. I know I'm supposed to be. I know that's what a good person would feel. But when I think about those 2 years after I destroyed your career, when I was the successful one and you were struggling, I still feel warm.
Happy.
Satisfied in a way I've never felt before or since. My therapist says that's the disorder talking. That healthy people don't feel joy in others' pain. That I need to work on empathy and compassion and seeing you as a full person instead of just a mirror that makes me look bad. I'm trying.
I really am.
But I don't know if I'll ever get there. You deserve better than me as a sister. You always did. I hope you're happy. I hope you've rebuilt what I tore down. And I hope you never forgive me, because honestly, I don't deserve it. Sophie. I read the letter once. Then I put it in my desk drawer. Not in the trash, not yet. Just somewhere I don't have to look at it. Maybe someday it'll mean something. Maybe someday I'll be able to read, "I'm still not sorry," and feel something other than this hollow sadness. But not today. My therapist asked me last week if I think I'll ever have a relationship with Sophie again. I don't know, I told her honestly. Part of me wants to believe people can change. That therapy and time and consequences can transform someone into a better version of themselves. But then I remember the smile on her face when she told me she'd do it again. And I wonder if some things are just too broken to fix. You don't owe her forgiveness, my therapist said. Even if she changes. Even if she becomes a completely different person. You don't owe her access to your life. Everyone thinks I'm being too harsh. Everyone didn't have their career destroyed by someone they loved. Everyone didn't spend 2 years rebuilding from nothing while the person who hurt them got to thrive. Your boundaries aren't cruel, they're necessary. I left that session feeling lighter than I had in months. Yesterday, I signed the lease on a bigger office. My agency is expanding. We're hiring 5 more people. I'm finally at the point where I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. And Sophie? I don't think about her much anymore. When I do, it's not with anger. It's more like looking at a photograph of a stranger who once lived in your house. You remember they were there. You remember what they looked like, but you can't quite recall what it felt like to know them. My parents sent me an invitation to Sophie's birthday dinner next month. I didn't respond. I don't think I will. Some relationships are worth fighting for. Some are worth mourning. And some, the ones built on lies and jealousy and a need to see you fail, are worth letting go. I choose to let go. I choose myself. I choose the life I rebuilt with my own hands, brick by brick, without her. And if that makes me the villain in someone else's story, I can live with that. Because in my story, the one that matters, I'm finally the hero.